This is Team Indecisives Milestone 1 video for Project Colossus, our VR local multiplayer game. Before we get into the specifics, it'd be best to show a quick clip of the old and the new game. Here's the old game. And here's the new game. The first thing you'll probably notice is that the lighting has been completely redone. We found the old map to be pretty hard to see in, so this should fix that. Next up, we have the map objects in general. So before, there was just way too much stuff in the map. Players were running into things constantly. So we removed some of the catwalks, some of the objects laying around, so that it was just much more easy to navigate for both the Colossus and the soldiers. You can see that the conveyor belts have been re-angled so that the robot doesn't constantly have to throw their head back and forth to grab objects. Another change worth noting is that we went back and remodeled the map so that players couldn't hide in this hole on the side. The next big change overall was this throwing mechanic, which, although it seems kind of simple to slow down the speed of a throw, was actually requiring the entire map to be rescaled from the bottom up. This was due to how SteamVR judges velocity based on the scale of the VR player, so we had to scale everything down to where the VR player was in order for it to work properly. One of the new things we implemented was a shield for the Colossus. It's an entirely new ability. If you pull the trigger down the controller, you can activate it, which is what that UI is showing, and you can reflect objects. You'll also notice that the shield speed affects the speed of the reflection. Speaking of abilities, we added an entirely new ability manager script so that we can easily select abilities from a drop-down and they'll be enabled on the next start. Before, it was just hard-coded abilities on each player and Colossus, so now it's completely malleable, and when we add new abilities, it won't cause any problems in the hierarchy of the objects themselves. On the resistance side of things, we completely redid the soldier UI to actually have a crosshair, a reload animation, and more defined bars. This clip was of the Assault class, which, although was already implemented, has been completely rebalanced. This shows our new class, the Grenadier, which has 6 grenades to fire at the robot. They don't explode on shield hit, but they do explode when they hit the body of the Colossus. He also carries a wall shield that he can place in front of him that doesn't allow any thrown objects to pass through, but does allow the laser to pass through for now. That may change in the future. To end the video, I'll go over some things that couldn't be shown in clips. First of all, we have a bunch of models created that aren't implemented yet, mostly because the Resistance still use a character controller, and we're slowly converting that to a rigid body system, so that will take some time, but then we'll see new weapon models and possibly a new soldier model put in. Second is that we made a bunch of interfaces to completely change how taking damage and dealing damage is dealt with. This makes it so each object takes care of the damage done to it itself, instead of the bullets or projectiles having to deal damage to an object it hits. Lastly, we have a bunch of UI coming that will allow the players to choose classes and abilities before the game starts, which was our main goal in the first place. So now that we have an ability manager and example abilities already implemented, we just need to connect that with the beginning of the game and the main menu. We believe we're in a pretty good place right now. Our update schedule has a lot of leeway for things that go wrong, and communication has been great so far, so we're excited to continue working and implementing new things.